Welcome to our presentation on First Screening Test for Evaluating Preschoolers, also known as First Step. This presentation is by Brittany and Haley Shreve.
The author of this test is the Psychological Corporation. The publisher is Harcourt, Brace & Company. It was published in 1993, and this test is to be given to children of ages 2 years and 9 months, all the way up into 6 years and 2 months. The administration and scoring time is about 15 minutes for each.
There are several subtests of the First Step test, including quantitative reasoning, picture completion, visual position in space, problem solving, auditory discrimination, word retrieval, association, sentence and digit repetition, visual motor integration, fine motor planning, balance, and gross motor planning. All of these subtests are made into games for the students to play while they complete the test.
If we would have given you this presentation in class, we would have given you a copy of this right here. It's a picture from the drawing game, which is a visual integration game. And the directions of this would be to draw a line from the boy to the ball, and you are supposed to do it without touching the dark lines on the side.
This is what it would look like if you can see it. It's just a straight line from the boy to the ball, and the students are asked to make sure that they don't hit the curves, which are the black lines on the sides.
So, as you can tell, it's pretty easy for a young child to complete this drawing game.
The purpose of the First Step test is to evaluate whether young children have developmental delays in each of the 5 areas delegated by the IDEA amendments of 1991. The students are tested in the following domains to see if they have developmental delays: cognition, communication, also known as language, motor, social emotional, and adaptive functioning.
The examiner qualifications for this test are not very detailed, but it is designed so that a variety of user groups could give this test. Educators, special education teachers, nurses, physicians, occupational, physical, speech, and language therapists could give this test, as well as psychologists and preschool teachers. However, the examiners should be pretty familiar with child development, and they should read the examiner's manual so that they can score the test accurately, or else the scores will be skewed.
The available scores for the test are, the overall composite scores are from 13 to 97. There are also available scores for each subtest. For cognition, the available scores are 0 to 20. For language, 0 to 25. Motor, 0 to 17. For social emotional, the available scores are 0 to 66. For adaptive behavior, the possible scores are 0 to 68. And for the parent-teacher portion of the test, the available scores are 0 to 40.
And the parent-teacher scale is just a list of questions that either the teacher or the parent would answer. For example, the first question says, energetic but not overly active. And you would rate that as A for always or usually, S for some of the time, or R for rarely or never. And it gives quite a few of these questions for the parent or teacher to answer.
The parent or teacher will also answer questions on a social emotional scale. For example, the test would say task confidence, self-reliant and confident, self-motivated, self-assured, task viewed as games. And the teacher or parent would answer the question about the child using the always, often, sometimes, never scale. And they would also do a adaptive behavior checklist that is very similar to the other two.
This test is very reliable, and research has been done to ensure the validity of the test. It has been compared to other tests that test some of the same things like the development of young children, and experts have also reviewed and studied the test's ability to accurately assess young children's and areas of development.
In order to ensure the test reliability, a 95% confidence interval is added to the composite score, which gives a true error-free score. So therefore, the test is very reliable. Some of the well-designed features of this test is that the test booklet gives exactly how the student should answer. So it says, like, for example, on the drawing game we did, it says if they drew a line the first time without hitting any of the sides, then they would get 1 point, and it gives that for each one of the answers to each different subtest. And the book also provides the test administrator with the direct dialogue that he or she uses as they are giving the test. So each examiner can give the test the same way to the students. And unlike some tests, there is no easel to this test, which we felt made it easier for the test administrator to see the pictures that the students were viewing. Sometimes when there's an easel, you feel like you have to look over the easel to see exactly what they're seeing, but in this test, you don't have to do that. And also the directions and the scoring and record form are included in one small booklet. Pretty much it's just this one booklet, and so it has all the information, all the subtests are all included in this. There were a couple adaptations for students with limited English proficiency that we could see while we were studying the test. We said that most of the tests can be given in other languages. Most of the tests can be translated to Spanish or any other language because some parts of the test could be changed. For example, there's a portion of the test where you have to label a shirt on a person, and you could change the terms to other language terms, but there are also portions of the test that could not be changed. For example, with the rhyming portion, you would need to choose words that rhymed in other languages, so that would cause it to be a little bit harder to translate. The test can easily be adapted for students with limited English proficiency because there are many visual images throughout the test. That will help the students because they don't have to read English as much as they get to look at pictures and say terms that they come up with. There were not any specific adaptations for students with special needs or disabilities given for this test, because this test is really designed to screen young children and determine whether they are performing within developmental norms. So since these children are being tested at such a young age, they might have never been given a test like this before. So this is really like one of those beginning tests that they would receive. But after they take the test, if the results show that students scored below the average developmental norms, then they will be given further diagnostic tests to further investigate what might really be wrong. There are several strengths to the first step assessment. The test can be tailored to different age groups. The test goes from 2 to 6 years, and different portions of the test might test the first 2 age groups, the middle 2 age groups, or the oldest age groups. So, and that's a pretty wide range for young children from 2 to 6. So it can test several different age groups. The test also provided many gross motor activities for students. For example, there was a portion of the test where they were asked to jump over a string, and there were also a portion of the test where they were given 2 mats and they had to jump one direction and then back the other direction. And we thought that that was a really good asset to the test, because a lot of tests are just sitting down and reading or looking at pictures, and this was a way to get the students engaged and moving, and also test their gross motor development. The test was also fairly easy to score, and like we said, everything was on one piece of paper, and so that helped us a lot. The test was developmentally appropriate for young children. It wasn't above their developmental norms or what they could accomplish. And all the different subtests were short, which is helpful for young children in general, because they have a shorter attention span. And also, if a teacher or a preschool teacher or any other physician or anything was to give this test on different days because of a lack of time, they could get many subtests done in one day because they are so short.
There were a few weaknesses that we found to this test. One of them was that students would need to have a basic knowledge in American culture to complete the entire test. This wasn't necessary for most of the tests, but a portion of the test involves identifying different coins, such as a penny or quarters, and so students who may not have lived in America for a very long time may not be able to complete that part of the test as well as American children. And we also said that it might be inconvenient because a large space is needed to complete the gross motor activities. Like Brittany was saying, they have a portion where you jump over a string or jump from mat to mat, and some testing areas may not be conducive for that. And another part of the test is students had to complete a picture in one of the games, and they were to use these plastic sticks to complete the picture, but they weren't always proportional. Like, one was a fireman and he was going down a pole, and you had to complete the pole using the stick by placing the stick on the picture, but the stick was much wider than the pole, so it was just kind of confusing.
Some additional comments that we had about the first step test was that overall the test was easy to administer and an appropriate length for young children to complete. And like I previously said, young children have a shorter attention span, so it was really good that the test was a shorter test, much shorter than even other early childhood tests that we've worked with, like the PALS. The test has not been revised since 1993, but is still relevant for today.